Hello, I'm Steven Spielberg. Schindler's List is far more than a movie to me because it represents a profound journey into the heart of a unique man, and as it turned out, into my own heart as well. Making Schindler's List not only deepened my faith, it changed the course of my life because in telling the story of Oskar Schindler, I came to understand how one person, not an army, but one person, can make a difference. You're about to meet some remarkable people, men and women, who are doing just that. They are Holocaust survivors who have shared their stories with us as survivors of the Shoah Visual History Foundation. After meeting quite a few survivors during the making of Schindler's List, I became convinced that archiving their testimonies was the single most important thing we could do to work against the kind of hatred and ignorance that spawned the Holocaust. So in a moment, you'll hear some of their stories, and I believe you'll find the experience as powerful, perhaps more so, than any film. These accounts show us how ordinary men and women can transcend circumstance and become extraordinary. How victims can, with courage and fortitude, become victors.
Just looking at him, just looking at him made you feel good.
He loved women, wine, he could drink, he could party. He loved life.
He was a charming man. See, he was using a lot of aftershave. When he passed by, 5 minutes after you can smell it, he passed by.
Schindler was a chance taker. He liked the possibility that there might be danger. Trying to come out on the winning side, but he liked that excitement.
Schindler was not an angel in dealing with black marketeering, and he didn't mind taking bribes and giving bribes. But he did a wonderful thing.
He was life, he was maybe future, he was God for us.
We survived because of him. Whatever they said, they said, whatever, we survived because of him.
I was born in Krakow, Poland, the most beautiful town in Poland, over 1,000 years old.
Between our homes and the river, there was a meadow. In the summertime, we mostly ran around barefoot, really free souls.
We had a grand piano. My two younger brothers, one slept on the piano, one under the piano, getting musical background.
My parents were very good Jews, for the holidays they always went to the synagogue, but otherwise we were very, very assimilated. We consider Jewishness as a religion, but we consider ourselves as very patriotic Poles.
I personally want to go to the army. I want to prove that we are not any different, the Jews, than any other Polish Catholic boys. And they sent me to Bydgoszcz, the most strictest, the most difficult officer school. In this particular school, there were certain requirements for Jews. You are the best or you are out.
I always remember the feeling he would get from the Polish people. It's feeling like you don't belong.
You could hear my parents talking, or I could overhear their conversation about safety. I didn't feel that they were safe. I didn't think they felt secure in Poland.
They could throw stones at you, and you were not allowed to hit them back, because a Jew has to be a nice person. You cannot hit back. We were brought up not like today to stand for your rights.
In 1937, I remember hearing talk about Hitler.
Unser Führer, Adolf Hitler, sich! Sich!
Something was ominous because everybody was concerned. You know, the older people were concerned and talked in hushed tones, you know, and listened to the foreign broadcasts on the Telefunken radio.
The Kristallnacht was an orchestrated riot instigated by the Nazi government. They encouraged people to demolish Jewish property and mistreat Jews on the streets. It was definitely organized by the Nazis.
We never expected that something like this could happen to our country, to Poland. You know, we believed in our army, and we thought that our cavalry can, you know, defeat the German tanks. You know, it was naive, very naive.
In 1939, I got the order to go immediately to my unit, what was 200 kilometers away from Krakow. And I arrived the Friday morning, about 4 o'clock in the morning. 6 o'clock, the war started. My company was almost wiped out. I took in 240 soldiers, I took out 45, that's all. The rest or got killed or wounded.
There were a lot of air raids, and we used to have to go downstairs to the cellar. You could hear the war coming closer and closer. The war started on September 1st, and the Germans walked into Krakow on September 7th.
I came from school, and I was playing outside, and suddenly we heard the march, and we heard the Germans are here.
There was a heightened feeling of something is going to happen, feeling that things weren't going to be so good for the Jews.
New regulation came out limiting free movements for the Jewish people. We were not allowed to use public transportation, and we were not allowed to use any educational facilities.
We were not allowed to walk on the sidewalk. And when you saw a German soldier walk, you had to step off the sidewalk. At the end of 1939, we were told to wear a white armband with a blue Star of David. I felt very scared because we were marked.
The grown-ups were wearing them, and it was taken as, well, the war isn't going to go very much longer, and so if we Jews have to wear armbands, so that's okay.
I saw the Germans rounding up the Hasidic Jews on the old part of town.
Whoever was with beard, so they were going, cutting off the beards, cutting off the payers, and hitting and spitting and knifing.
And then they would take them away. The families, lots of families just were destroyed.
My father had always been a very proud man.
He was proud to be able to support his family. Then these Nazis roughed him up and took him to jail. When he came out, he was never really the same man that he was before.
I was sleeping in bed, and I can see this picture like it's frozen. And my mother came, and she says, well, it's already 3 days, and we still didn't get any bread. And it was so cold already, and she put her hands into the down quilt that I was laying. And that's the picture that I can remember, and I'll remember the rest of my life.
Some people fled, right, when the Germans came in towards the Russian border.
My mother and I packed little suitcases, and we went as far as the end of the city, you know, and then my mother said, where are we going? Where will we go? You know, the two women alone, and we came back. And this was our biggest mistake.
All the savings accounts in the bank were closed by the Germans. We couldn't touch our money, and the money wasn't worth that much either. So my mother was selling some of her jewelry in order to sustain us.
My parents got rid of their nice furniture and silver and china and all of these things, sold them to the various non-Jewish neighbors. I think it hurt my mother terribly because she liked those things and she was proud of them. At that point, I lost my sense of security. It was totally replaced by the beginnings of fear.
There was a van that was owned by a German cheese company, and we called the van Käsewagen. When the van showed up in the Jewish section of Krakow, few German soldiers ran out of it and were catching people on the street who were close to the van and putting them in the van, taking them for hard labor. Some came back, some didn't.
I remember that the neighbors appeared with armbands sporting swastikas. So it was really kind of an incredible feeling to realize that you've been trusting people and telling them your feelings and your attitudes, and they were sympathizers of the Nazis.
The Poles were promised, if you know the Jews, let's presume us, we were living in a beautiful home, we have a business. If the Poles took over everything what we have, so it was better for him. So why not? Because they were poor to the Pole, and they knew when the Jews have something, why not take away from them and I have it?
My father's business was affected immediately when the Germans came in, and he gave us a paper showing the order that the factory is being taken over by the Germans. They forced my father to teach the men who came over there, who had absolutely no knowledge of being manufacturer of any shoes, to teach him how to manufacture a shoe.
There was a knock on the door, and there were 3 Germans, one in a green uniform, the Schutzpolizei or whatever, and 2 in black uniforms of the so-called Volksdeutschen.
They came storming in our homes. Always 2, 3, armed. They would take anything they wanted, all the precious things in our homes.
It was a frightful experience, the way they behave, the way they turn everything around in the house.